Now, the rest of the story.
Well, pardon the raspy, terrible voice, but that's what happens when your kid gets sick. Everybody gets it. So, we're working down the list of projects today, and this actually wasn't anybody's fault. The bolts either vibrated out, vibrated loose, or whatever else, and it just gave it just enough of a crease that it was catching. So Dad and Ryan are going through and putting that back. I've given up on breaking out windows in the Bobcat for a while. So currently my score is 2 glass doors and 1 of the side panels. But at least everything works now, and on the bright side we got a nice shiny new side panel glass. Well, I'm up here in the tractor again, and I just finished up the last really task that this seat really needed. I pretty much confirmed, I mean, especially after going through and rebuilding this, and especially now after getting this fixed, this cable actually runs to this little lever right here. It's got 3 different settings, and the cable runs down from up above, and it goes down into here to that guy, which my seat looks like somebody's just been, oh, Ryan was in here taking it for a test ride. So what that does is that it affects how quickly the seat will actually come back up from being depressed or somebody sitting on it. Less is actually how quick it'll actually pick right back up if you were to get up. Neutral is where pretty much it's been the standard at ever since I've had the tractor, where the seat will have a little bit of resistance coming back up, and that one, it pretty much has maximum amount of resistance as far as what that is doing down there. It's connected to the 2 suspension arms on the underneath the seat, and what it does is it reduces the actually increases the amount of tension it keeps on the arms, and it really slows down how quickly the seat will pick back up. Myself, it'll probably be at neutral or even completely reduced. For smaller people like my wife, when she's in here, it's probably going to be set that much lower yet. But it's going to be kind of a wild ride having a tractor that the seat actually does everything it's supposed to do, because this tractor has had some suspension in it since I've had it, but actually clear back to when I first started making videos, people were saying that my seat is squeaking, it's squeaking, it's squeaking. Well, yeah, clear back to even then, the seat was falling apart. I know it. For how bad the old bracket was, that wasn't something that just happened this year. That has been gradual over time, and I mean, it was just under $1,000 to get this back up and running between the 2 kits. I mean, this was somewhere over $100. But to be fair, this came in a kit. I only needed the cable. The kit came with the plastic pieces and the mounting hardware, and you pay for all that additional stuff even though you don't need it. So I'm actually looking forward to taking the tractor out and hauling some corn now. We have a little bit of corn to go. Well, I say a little bit, depending on how big you are and how big your operation is. It might not seem like a lot, but 200 acres, give or take, probably 20 acres, is about where we're standing on corn. We have a little bit, well, probably a few thousand bushels to finish filling up the 2,000 bushel bins. We got the storage bin and the drying bin. We're planning on filling them both up as full as possible because we sold all of our beans, which means we don't have to worry about selling beans next year. We aren't going to fill the silo. We haven't filled the silo, and we actually put in a bunch of corn into this small-ish, this 10,000 bushel older bin that has had structural failure. We can still get about 2,000 bushels in there pretty comfortably. well, pretty easily actually, just because I turned the spinner off up top, so it's just dumping it all right down the center. We're going to be using that for cattle feed for my dad. The problem is with the silo, I'm pretty sure we're just at the point where it needs to be resealed. It's got a new roof on it, but we need to actually have them come down and just run around and make sure all of the tar on all the seams is still there, still working, still sealing. The silo has, I think it's more of a condensation issue, where we're putting in good corn, not super duper dry, but it's also high moisture corn silo, and we're having issues where it's going sour on us by spring, when it starts warming up, and you just can't do that, especially if we can't use it. We can't carry it over to the next year if that's the case. Or we got maybe 400 bushels in there that is just junk. Well, that amount is what, $1,200, give or take. So the goal is to, or our intentions are right now, because we didn't keep any soybeans back, we put it in that dry bin, and anything that we don't end up using, by the time my dad's feeder cattle are sent down the road, we can load up and sell it, or I'll buy it myself. I need a little bit of corn for my calves here. I doubt I'll have my calves next summer yet, but even as far as my whole intentions for my calves this year, sorry, it's getting kind of hard to talk. My whole plan, which, plan is a curse word around here, was to wean my calves off the 1st September, put them on grain for 60 days, and I was going to sell them sometime in November. It didn't happen. The reason it didn't happen is probably a combination of a couple things. A is when they calved, when they were born, because when you buy mixed groups of cows, mixed in with even my cows, I mean, my calving window was spread out, so I got a bunch of mismatched calves. I got some that look really beefy and awesome, and I got some that, well, I have a newborn calf, 2 weeks old, so I still haven't been able to catch the little fart, but I got him out in the field. I get him out in the open range where, well, Calvin's coming, but I get that calf out in the open range where I can actually get out and work him with the four-wheeler, which is actually pretty huge too, because here he's gonna come right on up. When it comes to working cattle, he's camera shy. When you get him out in the open where you're not worried about him going through fences or going into the tree line or going into the corn, you can actually work them fairly well. Not with the gator. I don't like working cattle or calves with the gator because it's way too easy to damage a $18,000 piece of equipment. I like using the four-wheeler. I like using my Honda Foreman, which is right down there. The reason I like using that is because I don't know, it's because I'm a reckless driver or an experienced driver, but with that, especially when it comes to turning on a dime, I can actually spin that four-wheeler around pretty sharp and be able to keep up with the cattle. Not really crazy about my wife's four-wheeler. I mean, she's got that Polaris, and the problem with that is we've used that for working cattle a week after she got it, brand new, and we actually flipped it over upside down. My brother did, trying to chase cattle. The suspension on it is too loose, and just the way that four-wheeler is as a whole, it just seems like you're sitting so high on it that it feels top heavy. It comes down to a need and a want. It would be a want purchase because I would want to sell the Polaris and then go buy a Honda Rincon or even another Honda Foreman. The reason I was kind of leaning towards a Rincon is because a heavier, higher powered four-wheeler isn't necessarily a bad thing to have around here either. It's just that you gotta be a little bit more wary of what that machine is capable of doing. So, come on up. Come on. Kevin. I'm gonna sit there and cry until he gets up here. Problem is, I just cleaned this tractor out. Here he comes. Come on, buddy. See, I love the dogs, don't get me wrong, but I just cleaned out the combine, the 76 and the 46. I cleaned out the cabs. I washed all the windows inside and out because we're shut down right now. Oh yeah, Relina got one of those cake things. Mom said she refused to let it go, so we got shut down because of the rain. We're down for probably about a week. We're a lot farther with harvest than we typically are, by a pretty good margin. The last 3 or 4 years, we have just started last week, and we have my dad's biggest or largest acre farm is done. The cattle are out on it. He's got one farm that doesn't have anything left on it. The home farm with all the wind damage, that's probably got about a day and a half worth of combining on it, just because it's going to take that much longer to get through the corn. Beans are done. Ryan and I mean, Ryan doesn't have very much corn. I don't have a super duper amount of corn. But with the way the markets are going right now, it's a once in a decade event where you're actually making more money by moving it later in the harvest season. Even in October, I don't think we got. Do I have my phone? I don't think we've seen $4 cash for October just yet, but really close. I mean, for those that are interested, October is $3.96. I mean, November is $4.01, and for next spring, you're already looking at, well, everything with a 4 in front of it. You can't go wrong selling $4 corn. The big thing I'm interested in doing next year is if the soybeans will get up there healthily above $10. You're hearing the talking heads say anything like $12 to $13 a bushel. Well, that'd be great, but anything north of $10 cash, I mean, after trucking even, I'm making good money. At least enough money to farm next year, that's for sure. And I do a lot more marketing. I actually locked in my basis for 18 under, and you can see that's what it was. I actually locked it in for 18 under for November. It went up 2 cents the next day or the same day, and then a couple days later it did actually drop back down to 18 under, but at least I don't have to worry about my basis shifting on me now, and I can actually more or less just focus on the futures price. So I'm actually selling, last little bit of tidbit information here for those of you that are actually interested or keep track. I sold an HTA contract, 410 and 420 last May of last year, I do believe. At least that's what I think it's what the contract said. I'm currently selling cash corn for more than what those HTA contracts were worth. So once in a lifetime, once in a decade at least, event where I just flat out just got lucky. So with that, my nose is starting to plug. I'm hoping I start feeling a little bit better here. The ground's got to dry out. We got way too much rain. We're talking several inches, like 3 to 5, I'd say, pretty easily. We got water standing up on top of the hill up at the home farm, and we never have that issue. So, well, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Nice little update. I want to get more of action-y shots of harvest. It's just that for me, I've just been running the tractor, I mean, for hauling corn, and that it's the same thing day in and day out, and it does get to the point where even I can only say so much about the same topic, so I can't help it. So until next time, I'll talk to you guys later.